part of the state. Now, Live Super Doppler has been indicating locally heavy amounts of rainfall across southwest Iowa. Microsoft recommends upgrading to Windows 10. What should I do?
You should upgrade to Windows 10 and start the show!
Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you, my friends, can learn how to watch the stuff you want to watch, when you want to watch it, where you want to watch it, on whatever device you want to watch it on. I'm Tom Merritt.
Unless that device happens to be on Windows 8 run system during KCCI's weather report, in which case it wants to pop up in the middle of it and remind you that your free upgrade to Windows 10 is available, in which case, no, you don't get to see where that cold front is headed, my friends.
The best part about that, did you notice up in the top left, Harlan?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Not Harlan, Kentucky, which I don't think is real, but, I think that update was justified.
Oh, you're killing me. Let's introduce our guest.
Mr. Brian Ibbott is joining us today, not only because he's a brilliant podcaster for Coverville, not only because he's the man who put the hat in hatting the system, but also because he's a brand new, fresh cord cutter.
I'm a virgin cord cutter, a baby cord cutter, if you will.
Dude, we've been on it for years. Finally, we said, you got to put down the pipe. And he did it. He followed our advice. Even though he lives right there in Colorado, he was able to put down the pipe and get what he wants when he wants.
Because, as Brian pointed out, cable is legal in Colorado, but you're able to set it aside. Right. That's amazing.
Very proud of you, bud.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's something actually I probably could have done a lot earlier, but the big holdout was my wife Tina. There are things that we can't get on Hulu, we can't get on Netflix, that she didn't think we'd be able to get otherwise, and through a little bit of finagling and saying, okay, look, there's this option finally, and it really helped that our cable company just flat out screwed up for the last several days and never got back to us on a tech issue they were elevating to the next level.
So did you go through the same thing I went through, which is like you nickel and dime about whether I could get this here, that here, this, the other thing, and then all of a sudden you realize that the delta between what you have to pay versus what you were paying with cable was so large that you could just shrug and say, and everything else I'll just buy for $1.99 on Amazon.
Right. Yeah, I'll buy a season on iTunes or whatever. My wife's big holdout. Her big holdout was all the Bravo stuff. And didn't find out until recently that PlayStation Vue is now available here in Denver as of about a month and a half ago. And that includes Bravo along with all the other stuff. So we're looking at that one. We picked up Sling TV because there's some stuff on A&E that we like. But yeah, it's all this cool little fluid landscape. We don't want that for a month. We don't need that for a month or 6 months or whatever. And it's going to be a really kind of fun new frontier for us to navigate.
It's an awful lot like the experience of you taking giant chunks of stuff in the garage and putting it in storage and swearing that you'll go get it anytime you want, and then just realize I don't need any of that trash.
Right,
just sell all of it.
Well, Brian Ibbott, welcome to Cord Cutting. We know you're going to love our story in our primary target.
Sure I will.
Cord cutting's over, folks. Cord cutting is dead.
Bad timing, Brian.
Yeah.
Bad timing.
Nobody's cord cutting anymore. It's all done. So here's the deal. Comcast, Time Warner, and Charter Cable, the three largest cable television providers in the United States, gave their earnings reports this week. Comcast grew subscribers by 53,000, biggest in almost a decade. Last year, they had shrunk by 8,000 at this time. Time Warner added 21,000 residential customers, and Charter added 15,000 subs. They lost 12,000 at this time last year. Now, granted, you compare this to their internet subs, which all grew in the hundreds of thousands. Time Warner actually added 314,000 internet subs, and it pales in comparison. But Brian, it's one of those few times where everybody's in the black.
Yeah, and it's one of those, this is the perennial favorite of the show is, hey, cord cutting's a real thing. No, wait, no, it's not. Oh, yeah, wait, yes, it is. Once again, to restate our official policy position is we don't really care how you get it. We want you to watch what you want, when you want, on whatever damn device you please. Sometimes cable's the best option. Most of the time it's not. But the most important thing is we've also seen for the last half decade, we've been encouraging everyone at home to take what we call the cable chicken challenge. Just call up and say you want to quit and see what kind of insane deals they will offer you just to pretty please don't give up cable. We've had it to where people have written in saying that they're able to save $20 a month on their internet bill just by saying, yeah, sure, you can continue to deliver cable service as well. Brian, have you had that happen?
No, surprisingly, Tina called to cancel TDS today, and I think this all stemmed from an incompatibility, but an issue with TiVo where you've got to use a cable card instead of actually having a set-top box. And I think that they were just so sick of having to support, or they are so sick of having to support the TiVo and the whole cable card thing. They're like, okay, you want to quit? All right, yeah, no problem. Here you go. We'll sign this.
So, yeah.
Just bring the cable
you think
card
they opened
back.
up your chart and they saw the word difficult in there, and then they were just like, yeah, you know what, that's fine. Head on out. Bye.
A little red frowny face or something that's in my file. Yeah, they just...
Well, so all of this is to say, Tom, is that I suspect that overall subscription rates, considering that they're in a constantly growing market, you always got kids who are graduating from college, going into new apartment buildings and all that stuff, and people who are trying to cut the cord. But as long as they keep offering those sweetheart deals, I'm much more interested to see how many people are watching the individual channels, how many people are actually watching cable television on cable television.
Well, and that's an interesting number that came out of the Comcast earnings report, because don't forget, Comcast owns NBC Universal. NBC Universal runs MSNBC, Bravo, Sci-Fi Network, and NBC Universal noted a decline in subscribers to those networks. So overall, NBC is a better indicator because they're across all the different cable companies, satellite companies, internet, fiber, television companies, and they're saying, yeah, fewer people are subscribing to our network, so we're feeling the pinch. At the same time, Wall Street Journal is reporting that Hulu, which don't forget, is owned by Fox, Disney, and silent partner Comcast, because when Comcast bought NBC Universal, they had to agree not to make any decisions about Hulu. Wall Street Journal reporting that Hulu is planning a new web subscription service that would sell live and on-demand programming from ABC and Fox. That would include ESPN. That would include FX for about $40 a month starting early next year.
So what do you think we're going to end up having? I mean, and we've talked about the strangeness of we smashed the buffet, insisting we want a la carte. We saw this balkanization of a billion different dishes wanting to charge us, $4.99 a pop. And they were like, why can't we put them all just in a giant buffet and we can pay one price to have it all? Are consumers ending up ahead here at all? Or do you think that we're just going to, new boss, same as the old boss? Brian?
I think it's going to be better for us in the long run, because what we're going to do is, right now we've got all these local cable channels and local cable packages that say, okay, you want these channels, you can have this for this much, you can have this for this much. Well, now we've got the internet stage to be able to say, all right, this company, Hulu, is going to offer me these 48 stations, and I really like these. Or Sling's got these, there are fewer of them, but a couple of them are on demand where they aren't in other places. I think it's going to be, now that people are starting to make this change and starting to cut the cord and opening up all these other opportunities for all these internet companies, I think it's going to work out better for us. We're going to get, it may not be a la carte, but maybe we don't want a la carte. Maybe I want these 50 stations. I just don't want the 500 that they offered me that I only watched 50 of anyway.
Yeah, and in the dim early days of the mid-2000s, when Hulu was begun as a revenge fantasy against YouTube, we were all thinking that they would do this very quickly, and they haven't. The reason it's taken them so long to do this is because they didn't want to upset the cable companies. But if Disney and Fox are also seeing a decline in revenue from subscribers to cable television, that may be enough for them to say, hey guys, I'm sorry, we're just not making the money off you that we used to. You don't have the leverage. We're going to go straight to the consumer in something that the consumer already is subscribing to in large numbers that we own, and cut out the middleman. It makes perfect sense.
So how far off, this is the part of the show where I go off into my own fantasy and I speculate wildly.
We need a little, a graphic for this.
Yeah, no. Brian talking out his butt, the segment.
Brian's butt.
There's some point that I would imagine that there could be a company that could resell certain packages this isn't too far off from what certain high-end cable packages are already offering. But what if it was just truly a concierge level $199, maybe even $249 a month package, and it was just called Everything. Everything. And you never had to know what subscriptions you had. You never had to know which times it was buying movie on demands, which times it was buying the movie, renting the movie, which times it was video on demand, which times it was getting a 4K, pretend that you have a home theater deal. It's like all they promise you is that if it is out, if it exists, watch it live, watch it DVR'd, like it's everything. It's everything, and you never have to worry about it. Is that crazy talk?
Brian Ibbott, does that sound good to you?
It's crazier than I would be able to do. But yeah, I mean, so basically you'd say, you know what, I want to watch The Big Short right now. And it may not be available on HBO streaming kind of stuff, but it's available for rent from iTunes. You'd get it that way. So potentially they could charge this thing, undercharge it basically, and have people who just use it as their red box, right? And pay $250 a month to watch every current movie that they want to watch.
Well, that's what I'm imagining is that sometimes they'll lose. Like if they have to just pay $19.99 for the Blu-ray HD, whatever, then they lost on that transaction. But maybe they buy it and it goes into their local servers and it becomes something that they have their own rental service or whatever. And other times they win. Like I don't happen to know whether or not 2010 is currently streaming on Netflix. If it is, then all of a sudden I'm looking at Ultra HD 2010. Good thing he wanted that movie instead of 2001, which isn't streaming right now. It's like if somebody knew all that, they could make money on the spread by just doing the most efficient of all the services.
The problem, I think, is revealed in the cable company's reaction to the FCC set-top box proposal, because their biggest objection to that is they don't want to lose control over the interface. They don't want to lose channel placement revenue. They don't want to lose customer advertising they get in the guides. And what that service that you're talking about would do is say, you just tell me what you want to watch and we'll surface it. And you never have to know where it's coming from. And the services that provide that stuff aren't going to like that. Even the new ones, even the Hulus want to be able to blast Hulu in front of you and let you know you're paying for Hulu and getting Hulu, and Hulu is better. So I wonder if that might be part of the resistance.
And that's actually a completely valid point, but it also makes me think, like, I'm trying to think of ways to wedge margin into this service where it's still Jarvis, it's still doing what you want. Let's say, hey, show me 2010, and then it says, well, maybe you'd like to watch 2001 first. Oh, that's a good point. That is the one that comes before the other. And meanwhile, it's just all like,
oh my gosh. What about, this is where I thought you were going for a second. What about, it says, I'd like to watch 2010. And it's like, great. You can watch it on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. Which one would you like? And like they pay to get one of them bigger or something.
Well, they're just going to bring out the Hulu guy and say, you're going to be watching the following program on Hulu with limited commercial interruption.
The following program is not part of our commercial-free service.
But okay, this sounds like just insanity, but weirdly, I do feel like we're kind of in a increasingly ubiquitous age of bandwidth. I feel like we're moving closer to this. We're not going to know or really care who distributes what at any given time.
I think that the companies that are like the Hulus, the FullScreens, the Time Warner, or the Turner networks even the Sling TVs have an interest in saying, no, we want you to pay for us. And then, and the advantage is then you can cancel us. And more people are price sensitive than the crazy idea you're talking about will have an impact on. But at the same time, I wonder if you could pull it off. I mean, the other thing is Hulu can say like, yeah, well, no, we're not going to allow you to do that. We're not going to allow you to repackage us and resell us.
Doesn't Apple TV even go halfway to this point where you basically talk into the remote and say, show me movies with animals and tricycles?
Fire TV does the same thing.
Sure, yeah, no, I had that experience recently where there was the kids had just watched, I forget which one, but they wanted to watch The Secret of Kells. So I just said, Secret of Kells. I was like, fingers crossed. And then and it says, got it on Hulu. And I was like, go, go, go. And then I got to be dad of the century for a moment.
Yeah. So I think something close to your crazy idea is probably going to happen. Maybe not as pervasive as you're talking about, but everybody wants that. Everybody wants the ability to just say what they want. And then I don't know that you'll get a single payer system like you're talking about, but
payer.
But at least you'll get some sort of like, oh, that's on Hulu, which you have, and you could subscribe to this and get it if you want.
We're getting closer to that point where, once we get to that level of artificially intelligent technology where it's just like you can ask like, hey, what's everyone talking about these days? And they're like, oh man, so-and-so just got nominated for an Academy Award. It's a light rock romp comedy. Do you want to watch it? Light rock romp? It's light rock.
I love those light rock romp comedies. They're the best.
Rock of Ages was one, wasn't it?
Yes. Hey man, I got a number for you. How about 90? You remember 90?
You know what? I bet you, Brian, just, I don't know why I say this, but 90 makes me think there's probably 90 people watching the show who haven't supported it on Patreon and yet could afford to do that.
Oh my God, that's a really good point. I was just thinking of the year 90. I was all like, we were all still bummed because Christ had just been killed last, 60
it wasn't
years
that long
earlier.
ago, yeah.
No, 90 people. We are 90 people away from a flat 2,000 patrons. If you head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers, we have 1,910 patrons. Man, oh man, would we love to hit that magic 2K number, and you guys can make it possible. If you get value out of this program, you can provide a little bit of value. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just sign up over at patreon.com/cordkillers.
I will let you say for the next week, anybody who becomes a new patron of Cordkillers at patreon.com/cordkillers can say, I am one of the 90.
One of the 90.
Just saying. You get to say that if you do it this week.
I mean, you could say it anyway. We can't physically.
You can't really
say
stop
it's
it.
still a free
Don't
country.
tell them that, though.
Sorry. Shall we move on?
Do signals intelligence.
Yes, there
what
we
a
go.
lovely idea.
Sounds good.
So I mentioned FullScreen earlier, and they launched their $4.99 a month platform featuring great shows from the past like Dawson's Creek and brand new content from British comedians like Jack Howard and Dean Dobbs, U.S. vlogger Shane Dawson. Kids love the Shane Dawson. Even I'm very excited about Electro Woman and Dyna Girl with Hannah Hart and Grace Helbig. So I popped on over and I looked at the email or the URL and I was like, I just can't do it. It wasn't the cost, Brian. I want to watch Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, but I was like, I can't add another one. I just can't.
This is the real problem. We've hit saturation where it's like, on the one hand, I understand if you're a company like, let's think of them as a sports team, FullScreen. Maybe they're not, the New York Yankees, but they got a bunch of star players. You'd think, hey man, you know where the money's really at? Not in selling ads. It's getting thousands and thousands of people to give you $4.99 a month. Let's just try to do that. And they go there, and unfortunately, it's just, I'm not going to sign up for it, and I really would. I probably would pay $12 right now and watch Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, but there's no option to do that.
Yet, and I bet there will be. They'll probably sell it. Ibbott maybe it's not. Maybe it's just FullScreen. Maybe that's the problem. Is it's skewing a little too young for me. But Comic-Con channel is launching this week. I can't say for sure. I want to watch the stuff on there. I love those folks that are making it.
Yeah, I picked it up and scrolled through the lineup myself, and the only thing, like you guys have both mentioned, the only thing I would watch on there right now is the Electro Woman and Dyna Girl.
Oh, on the
I'm a little
FullScreen
turned off
yeah.
by their slogan, which is "You're in." Did you see that? It's
you're in.
You're in.
You're in.
You're
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I'm sorry. What did I say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. You said
you're in.
did. You said you're in. You're
Yeah.
in. I mean, that's the problem. It's like and
there's a free trial. Like I am fully well aware that it's not the money.
Look,
I can afford
the last
the $5.
thing people want to do is sign up and then you're in and you're left with a bad taste in your mouth. It's like, I understand that sometimes in an emergency, you just want to take care of what needs to happen. Sometimes you have no
Once you're in,
choice.
it takes away the sting. I get that.
I mean, I don't want to go in some sterile environment where there's nothing vibrant or alive in there.
Okay, but let's shift this to the Comic-Con channel. That's launching later this week. You're going to get Adam Sessler back doing stuff. Well, he's the executive producer. I'm not sure how often he's going to be on the air, but you're going to get all those great Hall H panels eventually, geeky content.
That is going to be a seasonal thing. I think if they're smart, what they'll do is they'll offer 1 month passes and then the option to stick around for, hey, get the pay-per-view, $39. You get all of Comic-Con, all everything, the entire month long. And then after that, you could keep the Comic-Con channel for $3.99 a month.
I think they're just going to do like it's whatever a month. I don't know whether it's $5, $6, $7 a month yet.
I guess that's what I'm saying is this is a seasonal event. I don't believe it's going to be as appealing in we'll say December as it is during Comic-Con season. Although, E3 of course is a big con time. There's PAX events, there's Comic-Con stuff. But there's also giant chunks where it's like I can't think of any fan con community time that I don't know. I think they would do better with seasonal pricing is all I'm saying.
Do we know if there are any exclusives with the Comic-Con stuff?
Oh,
Like, are they going to be able to show the trailers that are getting shown out there that we might have to
Good
wait?
question. Yeah. I know Fox pulled out of Comic-Con because they said they couldn't keep the trailers private, which is dumb. I kind of wonder if it doesn't have to do with that channel.
Interesting.
That's just speculation. No idea if that's true or not. All right. That is something you can stream, but what are you going to stream it on? That's why you need gear, and that's why we gear up every week. Finally, the TiVo fans outnumbered the non-TiVo fans this week. Thank you, Brian Ibbott, for being on. Although the news is not so much great for TiVo, it's good and bad. Rovi has agreed to purchase TiVo for $1.1 billion, $10.70 a share, pending regulatory approval. The Rovi CEO, Tom Carson, will stay on as CEO of the combined company. The name will change to TiVo. Both companies have very successful analytics operations that they will combine. They both make a lot of money licensing patents. That obviously is going to be combined. And coming May 2nd, this is not necessarily related to this acquisition announcement. TiVo's Romeo over-the-air box is going to get an upgrade to a terabyte hard drive and come with lifetime service for $399.
Yeah, I think that pretty much everyone I've talked to about TiVo, I mean, this goes back to 1997 when we got our first Generation 1 TiVo. People are like, yeah, but then I have to pay an extra fee just to find out what's on. I can learn that from the TV Guide. I'm like, which also costs $3.99 at checkout. But I think it would be great if there was some synergy and it became, as Rovi offers, so many of those services. Here's what I'm getting at. This could be the ultimate metrics powerhouse. If every place that had a TiVo device was also listening in and watching when you're streaming stuff, all of a sudden they could crush Nielsen.
Yeah, and that may be what Rovi is thinking is, we're going to make a lot of money on analytics. I don't know how much the Rovi acquisition has to do with TiVo giving away the guide service. Don't forget, it's not just the guide, it's also the season passes and the ability to set recordings and all of that. But giving that away for free, I think might be a play to just boost Romeo over-the-air sales, Romeo OTA sales. They're also, don't forget, they have the TiVo Bolt out there as well.
Which is the one that I just picked up that caused the whole snowball effect with TDS. And the thing that, I love the interface. That's kind of the reason we're sticking with TiVo and not using any of the set-top boxes or DVRs that anybody else has offered. I just love the interface. If they could guarantee that Romeo is going to get some of these other apps that you get on other things. Sling TV doesn't have a Romeo or a TiVo option. Showtime doesn't have a TiVo option. Yeah. PlayStation View obviously doesn't have a TiVo option. Getting those apps would make this like the killer box, the no-brainer box for everybody.
TiVo Romeo OTA coming May 2nd if you're interested in getting that one. I kind of want to just get rid of the one I have that has the subscription on it and replace it. I wonder if they'll let me do that. Hey, Brian Brushwood.
Yes.
I hear there's these things called podcast awards. How do I make sure that my favorite shows that I'm not in win?
Well, first of all, you can find out what all, it's a highly charged political extravaganza there, Tom. There's some crazy pool playing. And in fact, we have live here on the podcast a member of the advisory committee to the podcast awards, Mr. Brian Ibbott. Mr. Brian Ibbott, can you confirm that there'll be no silly hats this year? Oh my God, it's crazy hats. Crazy hats.
Where did Ibbott go? It's Hat Guy.
I cannot guarantee that there will be no silly hats involved in this year's
they rejiggered the way they did the podcast awards, and people were asking, what's the singular website that we go to find out what all your fellow fans of the Diamond Club, the Tadpool, this loose confederation of independent podcasters, they all held their own primaries, and now you can hat the system by going to hat.t2t2.eu, and they went ahead and selected from among themselves. Hopefully everybody participated. The fantastic slate that you guys should be nominating on now. Nope. I believe actually nominations just closed.
It just closed.
But you can start voting hopefully in just 2 or 3 weeks, including hopefully Cordkillers will be up. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be lovely. I mean, it's an honor just to be hopefully nominated.
We'll find out.
That's hat.t2t2.eu. Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
NBC Universal. Again, a lot of mentions in this show. They plan to acquire DreamWorks Animation for $3.8 billion. The deal is expected to close later this year. DreamWorks is the one with Shrek and Kung Fu Panda. The deal does not include DreamWorks Pictures, which does movies like Bridge of Spies, live action movies. That's the one still owned by Steven Spielberg's Amblin Partners. And don't forget, Comcast owns NBC Universal, so Comcast will now own DreamWorks Animation.
I think why I don't let's just chop up all the names and all the ownership and just make it clear that all of Hollywood owns all of Hollywood, except for the parts that it doesn't own.
I couldn't make it clearer myself. You're right. That is absolutely true. No, I don't know. I kind of thought I know Disney is a majority investor in DreamWorks Pictures. I guess I thought they were somehow involved in DreamWorks Animation, but good for NBC Universal getting a solid animation house. And now they can add the Shrek ride to their Universal theme park. Oh, they already have it.
They already have it. Yeah, that was it. The Wrap says Amazon Studios is in early talks to produce original VR content. 2 months ago, a job listing indicated Amazon was putting together a VR team. I got to tell you, there was, I don't want to throw shade. I don't want to cause trouble, but there was a panel that I was on, and David Pogue went on a random rant saying that he doesn't believe there's any future in narrative content in VR because you need a director to tell you what to look like, or otherwise you'll miss the things. And I'm like, that sounds to me like just bad storytelling. I think
no one will ever like color pictures.
I mean, right? It's
no
like,
one wants the talkies.
That's where I'm at too. I respectfully, humbly, vehemently disagree with David Pogue on this point. What about you, Brian?
I'm visualizing like a restaurant scene or a party scene where, you're over here looking at like, oh, look at the snacks that these people are eating, and you're missing the conversation that's going behind.
I mean, that's just bad direction, though, right? That's not the fault of the platform.
That's what David Pogue is saying. You don't have a director in VR.
Of course you do. Of course you do. We see it in video games all the time. The main character, doesn't know his lines, doesn't know where to go, and a well-crafted video game guides you, and it makes you think it's your idea to jump and fire a portal in this part and all that stuff, and you feel like a wizard.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree as well. I get exactly I haven't actually read the rant, but I get from your description of it the rational objection there. But I also know that things that aren't obviously solvable in new technologies more often than not get solved. And I do think that we'll come up with a way of telling narratives in three-dimensional space.
Yeah. What about sports?
And now over to sports. Amazon hired James DeLorenzo as an executive to head up a new sports group in March, according to his LinkedIn bio anyway. Amazon isn't telling him to take it down, so I assume it's true. DeLorenzo comes from Relativity Media. Before that, he ran digital video for Sports Illustrated, helped Time Inc. launch the 120 Sports video website, so he's got a little bit of sports chops. Amazon, obviously, as Peter Kafka at Recode notes, and by the way, if you're not reading Peter Kafka at Recode, you absolutely should, because if you want to know about the cord cutting space, he covers it like no other. Him, Matthew Ingram are two of my favorites. Anyway, looks like Amazon wants to do some sports, but they don't want to spend NFL money for it.
Yeah, speaking of sports, that seems like a good place for VR content where no one's telling you what to watch. You watch whatever you want. You can't just put a bunch of people in an arena, let them look any way they want. Come at me, Pogue!
Well, there's a ball they can
You'll be getting a call from him
sports.
this evening, I have a feeling.
Hey man, Time Warner is launching an on-demand movie service this autumn called Filmstruck, managed by Turner Classic Movies people. The Criterion Collection will be moving off of Hulu as of November and onto Filmstruck. No word on what day it will launch or how much it will cost. I'm scared of another thing that costs a monthly fee.
Yeah, although this one makes more sense to me now. I go back and forth. When Criterion arrived on Hulu, I thought, this is great. I'll be able to watch all these great Criterion movies. And I never have.
Yeah, but you like knowing they're there, though, right?
Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, oh, this is great. When I want to watch Criterion Collection, I'll know where it is, and there'll be a service, and I'll be able to watch a bunch of them. Will I actually do that, though? I don't know. Ibbott?
At least now you have the option to say, "Oh, I'll sign up for this month because there's this Criterion movie
Sure.
I want to watch, or I want to have a film festival and watch all these in the middle of August when there's nothing else on." But now you don't have to sit there and feel guilty that it's sitting there in Hulu and you're just ignoring it. Now you can ignore it and save money at the same time.
Vimeo announced it's acquiring VHX. That's X, not S. They're not acquiring videotapes. VHX is a service that helps people sell online video episodes and subscriptions. They help you sell on the web, but also just recently added Apple TV support. And Brian, you're familiar with VHX.
Yeah, well, we've dabbled with a bit of their service, mainly because on Scam Stuff, we often provide video content, downloadable tutorials. But one of the big problems is that fully a third of the people buying stuff are doing it on a mobile device. And so for the rest of the folks, it's fine to purchase a tutorial, download it, and then be able to watch it and keep it on your hard drive, which used to be like the de facto standard. Nowadays, people are like, isn't there some kind of like streamable way where I cannot actually own it and have it here, but instead have access to it wherever I want? So they have some links in with Shopify and so on. So it'll be interesting to see where this develops.
Yeah, Vimeo is apparently intending to integrate it into their service of selling shows, which they already do. And Vimeo only keeps 10% when you sell through Vimeo, which is a much better deal than YouTube or anybody else does. Let's see what's under surveillance. Lift up the surveillance, please.
It sounded not nasty.
Look what's under surveillance. Jon Bernthal. He's going to return as the Punisher in a Punisher series on Netflix. That's the 6th Marvel series on the platform now.
I will comment once I've finished watching Daredevil.
Have you not watched enough to see much of Bernthal?
I've only seen him. I'll tell you what, he walks in slow motion like a badass.
Yeah, he's really good.
Right into that hospital. I get a whole series of that. I'm ready.
Ibbott, what do you think of Bernthal? I really loved him as the Punisher in Daredevil.
I loved him too. I mean, I was such a big fan of Thomas Jane that I thought no one was ever going to take the mantle away from him. But Jon Bernthal really, I don't know, he has that kind of smoldering, trying to say this in a manly way, but I mean, he's got this, he's got that Punisher vibe, and growing up reading comics, it's kind of another take on the character that I really like. I'm certainly not sliding Thomas Jane, still really like Thomas Jane. I talked to Jerry Conway, the guy who created Punisher for Marvel Comics back in the 70s, and he loves Jon Bernthal's performance. Like as the guy who developed the character, he's all on board with Jon Bernthal. So
Netflix is also bringing back Wet Hot American Summer. The new series will be set 10 years after the movie and be called Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later. And at the end of the movie, if you didn't know this, they agree to meet in 10 years at 9:30 a.m. So I don't know, expect it to start at 9:30 a.m. David Wayne and Michael Showalter will write. Wayne will direct, along with almost the entire original cast coming in 2017.
Right on.
I guess the Wet Hot American Summer prequel series was a hit, so there you go. The BBC and Netflix are working on a 4-part CGI adaptation of Watership Down with lots of stars. James McAvoy, John Boyega, Nicholas Hoult, Sir Ben Kingsley. Coming to the BBC on BBC One and simultaneously to Netflix in 2017.
When we were talking about this before, did you say it would be less violent? Is that going to be a thing?
Yeah, they said they're going to tone down the violence for a children audience. I watched the original Watership Down on a film strip in elementary school. Mm-hmm. And as I recall, they had the bloody rabbits up there, even on the film strip in school. So I don't know, maybe I'm just an old man, like back in our day, we didn't care so much about that. But I feel like the impact of Watership Down is how violent the bunnies get.
It's my favorite show to watch on Easter.
It's how the eggs are made.
It's right up there with watching Die Hard on Christmas for us.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
The last of the Netflix show news, Danger Mouse, which aired in the UK on BBC's Kids channel, arrived on Netflix Friday, April 29th. I like this BBC Netflix partnering up. I know BBC has intentions of bringing their own streaming service to North America, but it'd be kind of cool if they just partnered up with Netflix instead. I'm just saying.
Dude, if this is already out, I'm going to start involuntarily throwing it in my kid's face. Like, they just every time random TV goes on, it's going to be Danger Mouse. I have very fond memories of the old replays on Nickelodeon when I was a kid.
And finally, another thing that you probably will not throw at your kid's face, although I don't know, they might like it. Hulu's doing a 10-part adaptation of Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, starring Elizabeth Moss of Mad Men fame. Bruce Miller from The 100 wrote the script and will be an executive producer along with Daniel Wilson, who did the movie adaptation of The Handmaid's Tale. Fran Sears and Warren Littlefield also executive producing there.
You never know. I might throw it at him.
You might. I think this is interesting, and it's a good Hulu tradition to now take books and adapt them into 10-part series, I suppose. Well, I guess it was 8-part with 11/22/63, but it's kind of their thing. Maybe they'll do a really good job with this one.
Maybe.
All right. One of the things that's hard to keep track of is what's coming to shows. Like, we tell you this, and then next week you're going to forget. That's why Ayaz Akhtar is on the beat at CNET.com every month telling you, here are the things leaving Netflix, coming to Netflix, leaving Amazon, coming to Amazon, and he shares some of his wisdom with us now. Hello, Ayaz.
Hey there, Cordkillers. It's time to find out what's new online in May. Do you like James Bond movies, even the crappy ones, the good ones, all of them? You'll be happy to know that both Hulu and Amazon will be streaming a whole bunch of them starting on the 1st of May. Diamonds Are Forever, Die Another Day, which I hear is awful, and yeah, I remember it's awful, and Goldfinger are just some of the titles being added. The very underrated Lucky Louie show hits Amazon Prime on May 21st. It stars Louis C.K. in a sitcom, and it's really not safe for work. Prime also gets all 3 seasons of the animated version of Todd McFarlane's Spawn series that ran on HBO. Over on Netflix, go watch Bring It On, Pleasantville, or 16 Candles. They all start streaming in May. What's more important is what's leaving in May. Blade Runner, which is incredible, goes offline on May 16th. Black Hawk Down leaves Netflix on May 23rd. And Kevin Smith's Clerks stops streaming on Netflix on May 31st. What's that? You're saying you want to know more? Well, I can't hear you because this is a recording, but you can find out more at cnet.com/netpicks. I'm Ayaz, and I'll see you guys later.
Hey, thanks again, Ayaz. So what you been up to?
He can't hear you. He just said he can't hear you.
But I just wanted to see how he'd been.
He was a recording. He left. He's gone.
Oh.
He faded into the yeah. Here, can we see the dark void into which he vanished? Yeah, there he is.
Oh wow,
he's
scary.
He's gone.
Yeah, bye.
He's formless without structure.
Guess he's gone. So what have we been watching? Let's talk about that instead. Mr. Ibbott, as our guest, we'll start with you. What have you been watching these days?
Been watching. Just finished up the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Just watched the last episode of the second season of that last night, and it. Season-wise, starts out okay and gets so much better as you get through the season. I won't, no spoilers, of course, but Tina Fey makes an appearance, and that's kind of where the season, I think, really picks up.
You're talking about season 1 or season 2?
Season 2.
Oh, so she's back in season 2.
Is she back as the same character or a different character?
Oh, remind me who she. Oh no, she's back as a different character. That's
okay,
right. She was Marsha Clark basically in season 1. Right?
Yeah, right.
Very different character in season 2.
Okay, cool.
Other than that, just watching kind of the current stuff. I just finished 11/22/63, as you guys just mentioned as well, and enjoyed that tremendously. And of course, making my way, now that Amazon's brought it back, making my way through Doctor Who, still in the second half of season 6.
So when you say you enjoyed 11/22/63, is that like polite?
Enjoyed the concept of it.
Okay.
Probably more than the execution. Yeah. Little disappointed with the way they wrap things up, but as a time travel thing, I kind of like that aspect.
So it's like you went to the Italian restaurant and you're saying that really nice decor.
The plates
were lovely.
Yeah.
You went and you left and you were like, it just really reminds me how much I really like Italian food. It's right. No matter how it's made, whether it's good or bad, I just love Italian.
Our waiter was really nice. Yeah, James Franco, very, very nice. And the plates were lovely.
Excellent. Mr. Brushwood, you've been watching some stuff.
Yeah, finally getting caught up. I finally watched the second season of House of Cards all the way through, so we could talk about that on Spoiler in Time. The most recent season. The second half is what I meant. And got the chance to... Man, it's weird. I got a 12-year-old girl now, and it's like I feel like it's just not appropriate for her to be scared to watch movies with some more adult content. So I tricked them into watching Edge of Tomorrow. I pretty much sat her down and held her and made her watch Gravity, and we spent the whole time crying. It was wonderful. But it's like I'm really excited to start being able to share movies that I'm excited about. And, of course, the usual suspects, Justified and Game of Thrones. We'll talk about those later on.
Yeah, same here. I actually didn't watch that much this week. Arrow and Flash are still on my regular repeat viewing. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has gotten really good. But one of the things I wanted to mention is I did watch Game of Thrones and Silicon Valley last night without internet. And without subscribing to cable. How did I do this? Well, when I say without internet, it's kind of a lie. My fiber internet went out Saturday night. Long story. You can tune into DTNS for the details. It's still not back. But Sunday night, I have T-Mobile unlimited internet on my iPhone, and they zero rate HBO. So even though I have unlimited, it doesn't even count against any kind of slowdown cap that they hide in there. And I was able to watch Game of Thrones in Silicon Valley by plugging my iPhone with an adapter into HDMI. Looked great. Had a couple of glitches. So it wasn't perfect, but for the majority, it streamed really nice. And it was just like we were watching Game of Thrones on the Roku.
Right on. I had on Game of Thrones, there's like 3 hiccups, and I don't know if it's something they've changed on the HBO Now app, but the times where instead of hicking up and jumping forward, it would actually loop back and say the same line again. So it was like, and if it was an intentional decision, it was a smart one because I liked knowing for a fact that I wasn't missing anything. The worst I was getting was rehearing something again.
Yeah, we lost connection with the television one time. The adapter just flaked out, and I had to like stop, restart, and then find where we had been again. That was the biggest thing for me. All right. Before we move on, Bryce, our producer, is going to tell us what we should be on the lookout for. Bryce, what do we got?
Hey, we got a letter in from Tyler. He sent along the show Lucifer. This is on Fox. He writes, I know you talked about the show Lucifer before or after it came out, but I'm sure it fell off your radar. It's a crime drama with a monster of the day scheme. Although there is an underlying mystery around Lucifer and changes that start to occur as he spends more time above ground. Throughout there are several moments where I couldn't wait to see the next episode, and the finale adds even more to uncover for the next season. While I wish the show focused less on solving crime and more about Lucifer's specific predicament, for some reason I just can't get enough of it. Lucifer is streaming 13 hour-long episodes on the Hulu and Fox apps right now. You can also buy it via iTunes and Vudu. It's been picked up for a second season, which should air next year.
So wait, the devil wants to solve crimes?
He's tired of being the tempter. He's tired of being over the underworld. He just wants to do something cool, man. Move to L.A.
Okay.
Your
Trying
badge,
to
give me your
find
badge
himself.
and your gun, Satan.
Give me your horns and your tail. You're out of here.
Here's your partner, the angel Gabriel.
Oh, no, we'll never get along, boss.
This is the description on the trailer here for the YouTube video. Bored and unhappy as the Lord of Hell, the original fallen angel Lucifer Morningstar has abandoned his throne and retired to L.A., where he owns Lux, an upscale nightclub.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just wanted to get into, just settle down, start a nightclub. I get it. Hey, you got something we should be on the lookout for? Let us know. Email cordkillers@gmail.com. We are going to finish this show strong with your dispatches from your front. Did that sound weird?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay.
I wasn't listening, if that makes you feel better.
Does. Actually makes me feel a lot. Hopefully most of the audience doesn't either. Hey, Lehman says, for your information, Margot Martindale was not in The Leftovers. The actress you're thinking of was Ann Dowd.
So that means that it's a different chick? From
Margot Martindale from The Americans is apparently not in Leftovers, the TV series. I'm checking this now because apparently no one checked it before.
Oh, doggone it! Look, I put it in the doc and everything ahead of time so I can find out if it was.
Patty is played by Ann Dowd.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go. We're dumb. I as soon as you said it was Margot Martindale, I was like, oh yeah, of course that must be Margot Martindale. And there's a similarity, I suppose, between the two actors.
Righto.
So there you go. Oops.
Or
as they say in Spanish, Oops.
It says from BD, because of studio paranoia, PC users haven't been able to take advantage of their hardware for video content. Steam is offering full 1080p movies at a user selectable locked bitrate, unlike Netflix. Unlike the Netflix quote, we'll decide to downgrade when we feel like it system. Also, Netflix only streams in 1080p with the Windows 8 or 10 Metro app. Windows 7 or Linux are left behind. The killer app for Steam will be if it offers UHD, ultra high definition. I have a 4K monitor with a DisplayPort and a full HDCP support, but there's absolutely no legal way to watch any 4K movie content on it. None. I hope Steam plans to fill that void. You and me both. Sure, the HTPC crowd is tiny, but so are the new generation of HTPCs. Steam is thinking ahead about the PC, about being the one box to rule them all. That might be a little bit ambitious, but...
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing, BD. You're comparing apples and oranges here. Steam selling or renting, in this case, movies to you is like iTunes renting you a movie, which you can absolutely do on your home theater PC, or you could use Vudu and get a 1080p movie. So I feel like you're just wanted to slam on Netflix, and all of your criticisms of Netflix are totally legit, but I don't think the Steam thing is really a counter to that. I think it is cool for the HTPC crowd to have another source of movies, especially people who use their home theater PC for gaming, and I think that's awesome.
We got a really interesting email that just sort of wanted to wax nostalgic to explain what technology looked like back in the 1970s. And as I was reading it, I was like, well, duh, I was there. And then it occurred to me that most of our audience probably wasn't. So do we want to just run down on all this? And it says, Dear Tom and Scott, which makes me think that maybe this was something you called out for on Current Geek or something.
Maybe. That's funny. Yeah, let's take a look at this. This is good stuff. Belissa, longtime fan of many shows that I've done, sent this in. We'll have the full thing in the show notes. I'll read a couple of things here. Basically, she was 8 back in 1970, and she's like, we had 3 channels. PBS was on UHF. Once in a while, my father would go up and adjust the antenna on the roof when we were getting particularly poor picture. One thing that was annoying was when the vertical hold went off kilter and the picture would roll in a strange way that is like nothing we experience now. That totally brings back memories. There was a dial on the TV you had to turn to try and adjust this. The TV we had in 1970 was encased in a nice wooden cabinet that sat directly on the floor. When it died, my father removed the electronics and made it into a cabinet that held the VCR and the AB switch that we used to switch between cable and VCR, and the TV sat on top of that. We also had another thing that's probably from later in the 70s. Our first cable TV came with a box that literally looked like the bottom part of a blender.
Yes.
You know, the ones with the rows of buttons. I had that too. If you push one down, the one that's pushed down pops back up. Ours had 2 rows and a switch to switch between them, and a dial to adjust the picture, and a really long cord. Yes, a cord that reached from the TV to the couch or easy chair so you could sit and change the channels without getting up. Our first remote control. Man, we didn't spring for the one with the remote control. My dad wouldn't pay for it, but we did have that brown box. I remember that.
So amazing. Yeah. We also get stories of what it's like to be able to call your own phone number and then call your own phone number, hang up so it would ring, and you would wait for your parents in the upstairs to answer it. Then you jump on the line with them to tell them what you wanted to not bother to go all the way up or downstairs for.
And we had one of those big, I don't know if you guys had that, one of those big television sets with the TV built in and the speakers, and it had a record player and an AM FM radio. And when the TV died, my dad just left it. We just had it. It was just like
TV stand for the new TV.
Everything else worked, right?
Yeah, it was like, you know, where you see a dog where one of the eyes has gone bad and just kind of gray and glassy. That's what I thought of when I looked at our TV in that room. And there was a TV on top of that.
Old gray glassy Bassy. That's our favorite dog. Hey, Brian, where can we see more of your lovely shenanigans?
My bald head. You can see it on coverville.com. You can see it every morning, almost every morning, on the morning stream over there at frogpants.com/TMS. Film Sack. Basically, start with those 3 places and then expand out from there.
Excellent. Go check it out. You won't regret it. And you can follow him on Twitter, twitter.com/Coverville. That is it for this episode of Cordkillers, Brian. I'm sad that it's over.
I'm not, because that means we get to go on to spoiler in time.
Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live at diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. See you next time.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.